in order to push me towards divorce. My husband faked medical records, claiming he had a terminal illness, but he really does. I was stressed about how to bring it up with him. No need now. He's dying, and everyone knows. I urged him to get treatment, but everyone advised me to give up and divorce him. I was convinced. When Larry handed me his examination report, my hand shook slightly. Late stage. Judy, let's get a divorce. Hearing the word divorce, the paper slipped from my hand. He sighed, bending down to pick up the report, saying, "It's late stage and untreatable. I don't want to be a burden to you. A divorce now won't stop you from remarrying. No one will say you're jinxed." I disagreed, wanting to convince him to reconsider. Eric is a doctor. Why don't you consult him? With modern medicine, who knows? Yet he was determined to give up and divorce me. I was saddened, but there was a small part of me that was relieved. Thankfully, he already knew about this, so I didn't have to break the news. It was something really hard to say. At this time, I also had a copy of his examination report in my bag. I tried persuading him for a long time, but he never changed his mind. Out of options, I sought help from his parents. Larry was their only child. They valued family above everything. How could they just let him give up treatment so easily? If he's willing, there's a chance for a cure. Dad, Mom, please talk to him. To my surprise, his usually doting parents refused. Judy, I know it's hard to accept. It's hard for all of us. But that's reality, Larry's mom sighed. Yes, that's how Larry's uncle passed away. He dragged the whole family down. We don't want him to go down the same path. His dad shook his head helplessly, and we really can't afford that much money. Judy, Larry's mom said, taking my hand, Larry made this decision for you. Don't let his efforts go to waste. I was confused and thought it was absurd. Are these the same people I know? If there's a chance to cure, why would they react like this? How could they just let their son give up on treatment? Larry returned home then. Seeing the scene, it was clear to him without explanation. He sighed, Judy, I made this decision carefully, and my parents support it. I still held hope. What about our daughter? When I brought up our daughter, Larry seemed to anticipate it, ready to speak. But Larry's mom interrupted him. Nancy should stay with you. Mom? Larry widened his eyes, seemingly saying, this wasn't part of the plan. Ignoring him, Larry's mom continued, she's still young. She needs her mom, and we're too old to take care of her. She'll be safer with you than with us old folks. If divorce was inevitable, naturally our daughter should be with me. Okay, I sniffled, at least in this last period. Let's not have any regrets. This time, let me stay with you. Create beautiful memories for our daughter. When we return, we'll get divorced. He pondered for a moment, then nodded. This time could have been used for treatment to extend his life, but he chose to give up. Thinking about it, I shed a few more tears. Larry made a bucket list. First on it, to complete the honeymoon trip we never took. We planned to watch the Northern Lights right after we got married, but he received a temporary work assignment and we had to postpone it. Eventually, we just let it go. After starting a family, who has the time for romantic adventures? With a kid, it's even harder. If not for Larry's situation, this might have been a forever regret. It's too cold here, so I left our daughter with my mom. In Murmansk, daylight lasts only 3 to 4 hours. Larry told us the northern lights are rare to see. You might follow a guide for days and only see them through your phone in night mode. They aren't as stunning to the naked eye, and with such short days, there's little time for proper sightseeing. You're just romanticizing it, because we didn't do it back then. It's not that fun. He seemed to say skipping it was the right choice back then. I took him on a bus to Tereberka. When we got there, it was dark and luckily, the aurora put on a big show. I had done my homework. The weather was clear, and the KP index was high, so there was a good chance of seeing the aurora. You could see it almost every day, even just from the hotel window. Besides the aurora, I took him to other places. The Arctic Circle landmark, whale watching, the stone beach, the swing at the world's end, reindeer sledding, and hanging a love lock. Larry's phone would often freeze and shut down, but I brought a power bank for backup. You planned all this? He asked, a bit surprised by all the activities lined up. I nodded. I planned it years ago and updated it before we came. Larry seemed slightly apologetic hearing that. I was all excited, planning our honeymoon down to the last detail, but he bailed on me, and he never even thought about making it up to me. He didn't realize how much I was looking forward to it. The night before our trip ended, I checked out Lucy's Twitter. Lucy, Larry's first love. Her Twitter bio caught my eye. Because you came, my world became an ice-free port. The background was the Lenin icebreaker. He didn't care about the honeymoon, because it was a promise he made to someone else. I took a deep breath, clicked on her message box, typed something, and sent it. Before I got a reply, the door slammed open. "What are you doing talking to Lucy? What's your problem?" He snapped at me, his eyes fierce. I was too shocked to reply as he went on. "Ever since you found out about her, you've been suspicious. How many times have I told you? What's between us has nothing to do with her. Maybe it's because of your constant suspicion, your lack of understanding, that I ended up all stressed and sick." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My eyes welled up with tears. "What did you just say?" He grabbed my phone and then went silent. It wasn't what he expected. I was pleading, asking Lucy to persuade him to get treatment. Maybe he'd listen, even if there's just a 1% chance. I wanted to try. "Judy," he started, looking guilty, trying to hug me, but I moved away. "Judy, I didn't mean it. You know my hormones are different because I'm sick. Don't take it to heart. You're the most important person in my life. My illness is just bad luck. Having you should be my lucky charm." Just then, I saw Lucy's late reply. She wasn't willing. She said I should understand Larry, instead of prolonging his pain for my own selfish reasons. He was still begging for forgiveness, taking my hand to his face. "Judy, honey, if you're still mad, hit me, okay? Don't ignore me. You're all I have." I didn't hit him. He could still be treated, but no one was willing to persuade him to get help. He was dying and pitiful. How could I hit him? Back home, we planned to complete the second item on our list, make up for our daughter's birthday. We had planned to take her to an amusement park that day, but once again, he left for some last-minute work. Our daughter didn't cry or fuss, but I knew she was really disappointed. If he didn't want treatment, he wouldn't last until her next birthday. On the last birthday where her dad was around, he left halfway. I didn't want her to remember it that way, so I decided to make it up. We decided to take her to Disneyland this time. I paid extra for VIP access, so we could hit all the main attractions in a day without wasting time waiting in lines. She knew nothing about it, just happy Dad and Mom were playing along with her. Because it was the last time, I tried to leave more time for the father and daughter. As it got darker, I held our daughter and asked, "What was the most fun today?" I thought it'd be the Frozen sing-along. That girl was all about Elsa and Anna, or maybe the parade, but to my surprise, she joyfully said, "Playing with Mom and Dad was the best." I saw a flicker of emotion on Larry's face. I looked at him. "I know. Our daughter. My parents aren't happy with just a girl. They've been urging me to have a son, but I didn't want her in a house where a son is the only good thing. Without a son, she'd feel unwanted." I held her tighter. "She's all I need. I'll give her 100% of my love." "I believe you feel the same, Larry. Say something to her. She'll remember it forever." Larry listened, paused a moment, then bent down and said, "You'll always be my baby girl. I'll always be your dad." She didn't get the depth of those words. The fireworks show was about to start, and Larry suggested she sit on his shoulders to see better. I shook my head. "It's fine. I'm holding her. She can see everything." Third on our bucket list, a soul-searching trip. The night before we left, Larry got a call. He put his phone on speaker while he packed. The caller said they were the deputy director at a hospital, asking about his condition. "Why stop treatment? Pills aren't enough. We can discuss the treatment plan and costs in detail." Larry's eyes widened with disbelief. His reaction was like hearing he was sick for the first time. I was surprised too. A doctor calling to ask and urge treatment. What a good doctor. The caller said, "I'm Eric's friend. You can trust me completely. Can you come in tomorrow for a detailed check?" Hearing this, he suddenly looked calm. He glanced at me with sadness and said, "No, doctor. I've made up my mind. No treatment." "Is it about the cost?" The doctor pressed. "Insurance can cover it, and if needed, our hospital has a charity fund." Larry interrupted. "Doctor, this runs in the family. I know what it's like at the end. If possible, I want to leave cleanly, without causing more trouble for my family." As a doctor, he'd seen this a lot. After confirming a few more times, he sighed and told Larry to take care. I held him and cried again. I thought the altitude sickness symptoms looked a lot like his. Guess I got a taste of his suffering, too. Larry's altitude sickness was pretty severe. He felt dizzy, exhausted, had ringing in his ears, and insomnia. Even wearing an oxygen mask didn't help. I knew he was trying to comfort me, but his illness was the main reason. I didn't call him out. I just secretly wiped my tears where he couldn't see. No wonder everyone says this place purifies the soul. We went to the lakeside. The sky was clear, and the lake was pure. Just looking at it from afar made me feel open-hearted. It was like a sapphire set in the mountains, reflecting everything on its surface. As the light changed, the water shifted from deep blue to light blue. It was truly spectacular. It felt like staring at the lake could wash away all life's chaos. The wishing corridor was full of wooden plaques. After seeing what I wrote, Larry sounded a bit helpless. Judy, countless wishes, countless hopes. I tied my plaque up, becoming one of them. Judy, didn't we agree? I looked at him, my voice trembling and pleading. Can we try again? For our daughter and me. Can you not give up on yourself? We aren't broke. I even sold the house my parents bought for me. We'll have the money soon. I can always borrow if needed. We can always make and repay money later. We can buy a house later. But once you're gone, nothing's left. He was silent for a moment, about to speak, when I interrupted. I saw you spit out the meds. It was a few days ago at the hotel. He took the meds, but kept them in his mouth. Didn't swallow. Then naturally went to the bathroom, spitting them into the toilet and flushing them away. It was smooth, like he'd done it countless times. You didn't take them, did you? When did this start? Why? Larry visibly panicked, trying to explain, stumbling like he didn't know where to begin. I said, is it the side effects or what? Do you really not want treatment? His eyelids twitched, and he calmed down. Side effects? Yeah, that's right. Judy, taking those meds makes me vomit, have diarrhea, and lose hair. So ugly. Judy, I don't want you to see me like that. At least for the last stretch. I want to look normal for you. That's why he stopped taking the meds. It would speed up the progression of his illness, but he didn't care. I hit him, almost losing it. He held my wrists gently. I watched my uncle drag a family down. Judy, I can't be that selfish. What about Nancy? What about you? I didn't say anything. But Larry knew mentioning our child got to me. Judy, he said, I love you. How long had it been since we said we loved each other? Too long. Larry's proposal flashed in my mind. He said those exact words back then. The past and present versions of him overlapped, like he was about to say it again. But Larry opened his mouth and said, let's break up. When someone's sinking, it's hard not to drag someone else down. Knowing his health situation made this more heartfelt than let's get married. I nodded through tears, finally deciding to fulfill the last wish on his list. Divorce. To get it done quickly, we went for court mediation right after returning, skipping the waiting period. Soon we had our divorce papers. Our daughter was with me. I was generous with the property. I knew without money, it would be tough later. I left because everything here triggered my sorrow. I wouldn't be back for a while. I took our daughter to say one last goodbye to him. Larry, take care. Our daughter clung to her dad's leg. Bye, Daddy. His expression was a bit lost. Then, goodbye. Goodbye. I thought this might be the last time. The divorce was complete, as he wanted. Judy wouldn't fight for money knowing he was sick, so the finances weren't badly hit. But Larry wasn't as happy as expected. That same day, his parents eagerly brought Lucy home. She was carrying their beloved grandchild. His mom was complaining, cursing Judy for being cold-hearted for taking that house. Raising a kid is expensive. She seemed to forget Judy also had a child to raise, and that house was her property before marriage. He and Lucy had an old flame, but it never worked out, which was his deepest regret. Judy felt like water, a calming presence. Being with her made him feel at peace. That wound seemed to heal. Dating, marrying, having a child. It all just flowed naturally, until he met Lucy again, at a reunion. The old wound started to hurt. He initially maintained boundaries, but somehow they blurred without him noticing. Was it because his friends egged him on, or because she asked him out, or was it when they fulfilled their childhood promise to see the northern lights in the Arctic Circle? That trip wasn't fun. They chased the northern lights all night, only catching a glimpse on their phone. He thought it wasn't a big deal, and suddenly wanted to go home. But then, in the dark with everyone looking up, Lucy held his hand. He messed up, just that once, and Lucy got pregnant. A kid. He had a kid, a sharp-witted daughter, but she wasn't a boy. Judy didn't want more kids, but now someone was willing. That someone was his first love, the one he thought about for years, even wanting to name his daughter after her. His parents already had issues with Judy and didn't object. So, he got fake medical records from Eric, divorced without financial loss, and got together with Lucy. Later, saying it was a misdiagnosis, everything naturally fell into place. Even if people asked, Judy, who abandoned him, would be the one blamed. Why couldn't he choose his first love, who wouldn't leave him? They could handle the child's age, be discreet, and in time no one would realize she was a few months older. Now, everything was going smoothly. If only it was a misdiagnosis. I quit my job, changed my number, and moved to another city with my daughter. Months later, I saw a message from Larry. There was a rumor going wild. I was the main character. His family accused me of leaving him when I learned about his terminal illness, refusing to stick by him through thick and thin. They claimed I intentionally delayed Larry's treatment, letting him travel around, leading to his condition being untreatable. They blamed me for his death and wanted to sue me. So, Larry had died. Well, without treatment or meds, it was inevitable. The rumor mill churned fast, and soon everyone knew about us. The public outrage hit me like a blizzard. They said marriage was for caring for each other in old age, but where was the care now? How pitiful, working hard his whole life for his wife and kid, only to be abandoned when he got sick. I can understand not wanting to spend money on a terminally ill partner, but why delay treatment? That's just heartless. Someone even suggested I wanted him dead. For a bereaved couple with one child, it's a nightmare. People who knew Larry shared how good he was, devoted to his family, only to end with a sigh. Good guys die young, the bad ones live forever. I was that evil, vilified person. After much thought, I decided to reach out. When the call connected, Larry's mom sounded smug. Changed your number, huh? Hiding from us. In the end, you had to ask me for help. I held back my anger and asked, why say those things? That's not true. I always encouraged Larry to get treated. Wasn't it they who didn't want him treated? She seemed ready to mock me more, but Eric's voice stopped her. Be careful, she might be recording. Sure enough, someone was guiding them. What do you want? I asked. Simple. Return Larry's insurance money to us. Yes, Larry had insurance, and because of what happened to his uncle, the policy was substantial. No one expected the payout would go to me. You know the public opinion. If you don't comply, you and your daughter will never have a peaceful life. Then the call ended. Shortly after, they started a live broadcast, seemingly preparing to sell stuff. Crying, the elderly couple talked about how wonderful Larry was to me and my daughter. My son adored her like she was the apple of his eye. When he got sick, she left without spending a dime. She delayed his treatment, killing him. I don't want anything but my son's life back. Their tears earned endless donations and gifts. If something like that happened to me, my mom would do the same. Gray-haired folks mourning a child, how terrible. They mentioned, my son took out insurance before he got sick and forgot to change the beneficiary. The money for his life went to the woman who abandoned him. I can't stand it. I don't care who gets it, but not her. The chat exploded. If I were him, I'd come back to life out of rage. Wow, can't we sue? Isn't there something about unjust enrichment? Unjust enrichment doesn't apply here. Legally she did nothing wrong. A lawsuit probably wouldn't win, even if she offered it back. She can't have that money. Contact the insurance company. Ask them to investigate, and refuse the payout if they can. Trust me, they'd love to. If their sole aim was what they claimed, that would have been the easiest way. But really, they wanted the money. So, they didn't respond, panicking only when people began demanding I reverse the payout. Don't do that, it's not right. They stammered. I hope she sees reason. After all, she is the child's mother. Then everyone flooded the stream, with demands for me to return Larry's insurance money. My new number got leaked, but was quickly deleted, though many saved and shared it privately. I started getting hostile texts and friend requests. I had to set up filters and change permission settings. Feeling smug, they thought I'd soon give in, but a video soon went viral. It had no background music. It began with text. Maybe this will be our last memory, his final gift to me. It showed my face, red-eyed, having cried. He said he won't get treated. I'm sure his parents don't know. They wouldn't agree. I'll talk to them. Larry's so filial. Seeing his parents' reaction, he'll definitely agree to treatment. Then, the screen went dark, and all that was left was the sound. It was clear the phone had been put in a pocket. Next up was me explaining the situation to my father-in-law Larry's mom, asking them to persuade Larry to get treatment. To everyone's surprise, they actually said they respected Larry's choice not to seek treatment. Afterward, Larry came home. My decision was well thought out, and my parents supported it. We planned to travel everywhere to leave no regrets. Once we returned, we'd get divorced. The scene transitioned to a snowy landscape. He was looking up at the northern lights. He sat on a swing at the end of the world. A feeling of loneliness washed over him. We chased whales on the sea, cheering at a waterspout. We rode sleds, yelling with excitement. These images flashed by and stopped at a lock with intertwined hearts. Larry's voiceover played. You are the most important person in my life. I got sick because I have bad luck. Having you by my side should be my good fortune. Then there was our family trip to Disney. I took tons of pictures of him interacting with the kid. What was the most fun today? In a childlike voice, playing with mom and dad. My nose was red from the cold, but I couldn't hide my excitement. The house sold, we have money now. He was so happy playing, Maybe he'd be willing to get treatment after all. I'd ask him tonight. However, the next shot was a shaky piece of footage, like a hidden camera. Larry was shown flushing his meds down the toilet. Outside the house, you couldn't see my face, just my sobbing. After a while, through choking tears, I managed to say, he doesn't want to. What followed was our conversation at the wishing corridor. He said he avoided medication because of the side effects. He wanted to be his best self around me. I begged him not to give up on himself. He urged me not to be selfish and to think of the child. At the end of the video, Larry said tenderly, "Judy, I love you. Let's break up." Hearing those words, I couldn't stop crying. Why does fate tear apart those in love? It was the woman staying by the man's side to fulfill final wishes. Yet why do people say she's delaying his treatment? Check this out, there's more. Along with the video came divorce papers detailing property distribution and child custody, all clearly laid out. And even the real beneficiary of that insurance policy was revealed, not me, but our daughter, Nancy. The claim of abandonment was bogus, the husband leaving willingly. The claim of not paying a dime was a lie too. Actually, it was from selling the house to get treatment, leaving with almost nothing in the divorce. The supposed oversight with the beneficiary was intentional, meant for the kid, held by the guardian until adulthood. What's really true? Did those people ever tell the truth? The biggest lie was, I don't want anything, that's crap. All of this was just for the insurance money. If I were the husband, I'd be pissed enough to come back from the dead, seeing my beloved wife and child slandered like this online. How many dream partners like them are out there? Someone dropped a link in the comments. It was a news report. Larry's parents accused the hospital of a misdiagnosis costing him his life. But the story didn't get traction, as the hospital quickly debunked it. There was no misdiagnosis. They fulfilled their duty, and had phone recordings as proof. It clearly showed Larry knew about his condition back then, and had opted out of treatment. The situation was settled as a medical dispute. Everything needed was done. The hospital wasn't responsible. It showed their motive was purely money. The hospital wouldn't pay, so they targeted the ex-daughter-in-law, a real pair of bloodsucker parents. From the video, you could tell they wished the woman and daughter gone, counting on their son's death for the insurance money, which they didn't foresee being designated to their granddaughter. Who has custody over her gets the cash. Seeing the tide of public opinion, I felt satisfied. I then opened my phone and made a payment to my contact. Reliable editing work was a safe bet. On the other end, I got a crying emoji back. The money's already paid. I won't take this payment. You and the kid need it more right now. Snipping between tears, it's still hard to watch. If there's anything you need, don't hesitate. Such kind-hearted college students. I'd find a reason to send a gift on the next holiday. Later, the insurance company got in touch. Turns out, the initial beneficiary was his mom, and he had switched it to his daughter. Then they sent a photo, a handwritten letter by Larry. The past 2 months might have been the darkest in my life. The pain is unbearable. Suffering from the illness nearly broke me, yet ridiculously, I still wanted to live. Only now do I realize, those whom I thought loved me, their love was conditional. I didn't meet the grade, so I got dropped. Parents are aging, need a place. They don't want to sell the house. Asking friends I thought were close, few responded. Even fewer agreed. Everyone told me to give up, except you. You were my encourager. I really want to see your eyes once more. During that time, you were always crying. At our wedding, I vowed you wouldn't shed a tear because of me, yet I kept hurting you. I'm truly sorry. I understand now how good and important you are. I'm really sorry. I made a grave error. I should admit it, but I can't remember the courage to. Even if you're not in front of me, knowing you'd read this once I was gone, I still can't. I'm sorry. I imagined your reaction to this news, then I froze at the thought. I was poor toward our daughter, hardly spent time with her. I deeply regret. Time slipped away when I had plenty. I long to hug my daughter, take her to Disney every year, see her graduate, personally hand her to the one she loves. Now, it's too late to make amends. I was neither a good father nor a good husband. The most I can do in the end, is minimal for you too. No need to refuse. Consider it my small reparation, far from sufficient. Just a smoother life for you both in a tiny way. Finally, embrace our daughter for me. I love you both. Putting down the phone, I let out a sigh of relief. Knowing his last days were painful, a living hell of isolation, I felt at ease. Thinking back to what Larry said, that I'm sorry, my bad, I couldn't help but chuckle. Which part was he referring to? The cheating? Or the massive lie about having a terminal illness? I remembered before leaving Murmansk. In the end, I suggested we hang a love lock at the ice-free port before the journey ended. But he got oddly nervous, especially when he noticed how few love locks were there. It only took half an hour to see them all. Just as I hung the lock engraved with our family's names, he hurried me to leave. He was afraid I'd see the love lock with his and Lucy's names on it. But truth is, I had already seen it. Lucy's Twitter bio said, "Because of you, my world became an ice-free port." The background was Lenin's icebreaker, and just scrolling down would reveal the hidden part of the picture. The love lock engraved with Larry and Lucy's names. Was he betting I'd never find out? Or did he want me to see it on purpose? Finding out about Larry's terminal illness came at a bad time. If I filed for divorce right then, it would have been hard to justify morally. Plus, I wanted to take my daughter with me. I hadn't figured out what to do. But then Larry handed me the test results and asked for a divorce. The only catch was, he told me it was a late stage with no cure, while the doctor said it was mid-stage, still treatable. I instantly guessed the truth and hatched a plan. Let him keep believing his lie. Through some probing, I figured out who else knew about this. I always considered myself responsible for the family. Larry's mom disliked me just because I wouldn't let go of my right to decide about having kids. If only Larry, or anyone, would crack this disgusting charade open, I'd give up my plan and tell them he's genuinely sick. Too bad no one did. Luckily, they didn't. They are all contributing to Larry's decline. I watched everyone encourage Larry to give up treatment and press for our divorce. I let Larry skip his meds and watched his health worsen. I dragged Larry around, wasting time and using altitude sickness as an excuse for his declining health, turning a mid-stage illness into a late-stage one. I worried about causing trouble for the head doctor and feared they'd contact him privately and expose Larry's illness. So, I actively got in touch with him, asking him to persuade my husband to get treatment. Because of some past incidents, Larry was hesitant about hospitals. I suggested mentioning Eric, since Larry trusted him. Eric was old friends with Larry and Lucy and never thought highly of me. I knew he'd contributed to this too. If the doctor mentioned Eric, Larry would assume he was sent by Eric, playing a role. I methodically arranged everything, selling the house to avoid future entanglements, and to make it easier to leave with my daughter. I knew Larry had insurance. I just needed to play the part of a devoted, loyal lover, pleading with him, persuading him, even up to the divorce. I seemed to have his best interest at heart. Afterward, during the lonely days, he'd think of me. He eventually changed the insurance beneficiary, just like I had planned. I never put down my phone. Everyone talked about how deeply Larry was in love, so I made sure they knew just how much he loved me. Better if I didn't have to use it, but if needed, I wasn't afraid. I had to be the perfect victim because I had a daughter. Sure, creating this perfect husband persona for him was a bit nauseating. But so what? Can't let some small thing get in the way of the money, right? My daughter will never know her dad was a jerk, just that he was a good dad. Later, Larry's parents' live stream got shut down, and all the gifts and rewards were returned. Lucy had a miscarriage. The family fell apart, and Larry's parents went mad, pestering her every day. Larry's wealth had already been depleted during his treatments. Now, his parents were broken alone, their reputation ruined, with no one willing to help them out, guaranteed a miserable old age. Eric, who, for non-medical reasons, revealed the baby's gender and issued false documents, was fired after being reported. Even those who pitied Larry and took shots at me online got called out by internet users. If he was such a good guy, did you lend him money when he needed it? All that backlash from feeding off me left them regretting it bitterly. Thinking about the final lines people left, I couldn't help but laugh again. Not enough, just making your lives slightly better. It was more than enough. Larry wouldn't think providing for us alive could be more touching than this money, right? He's more useful dead than alive. I called my daughter over and asked if she wanted to change her name. She asked to what? I replied, how about Anna? She raised her hand excitedly. After some thought, Anna did sound pretty nice. This time, I need to give her a good name. One filled with hope, a name that brings out a smile each time it's spoken or heard. A name filled with love just for her.